I've come to the conclusion that I'm just not built for the world that we live in now. I'm just not consistent enough. I just don't have it in me. I spend all of my energy trying to stay out of hospital, and I don't have it in me to do everything else that you need to do. I used to be incredibly consistent. There was a period where I did a YouTube video every single day for a year, on top of also uploading 25 to 50 items a day onto Depop, onto eBay, on top of also going out and sourcing the stock. And in those times I did incredibly well. I got a lot of sales, I grew my YouTube channel quite nicely, from 0 subscribers up to about 4,000 in the space of a year. But then around 2020, I started to get poorly quite a lot. I kept getting what I thought was pneumonia. Now, we were in COVID back then, which meant you didn't really have in-person appointments at the doctors. It was all over the phone, which obviously had its advantages. However, I'm asthmatic. I was really poorly as a child. So whenever I got a cold, it always got worse. So in those lockdowns, I kept getting what I thought was a cold or pneumonia, heavy chest, painful breathing, and I would have antibiotics sent out. I would be too ill to eat. I would just sort of lay, sweat, take my tablets, and then eventually it would pass. Now, the too ill to eat is a big part of this. 2024, I got really poorly on holiday in Malta. Managed to get through it, got home, and then 6 weeks later, I got really poorly again. But this time, a lot worse. I ended up having to go to hospital on the last day of March. I was in ridiculous amounts of pain, and within an hour I was in a hospital bed, and honestly I don't really remember too much from that period until about 5 or 6 days later. I sort of went in and out of being awake, and I don't remember much, but from what doctors have told me and what my family and my partners told me, I was very close to the end. Everything was shutting down, everything was failing. Now it turns out it was pancreatitis. I was having a really big, bad pancreatitis attack. But now I know it was made worse because I had uncontrolled diabetes. Now, that's not from, I ate too many sweets or this, that and the other. It's because I was poorly all those years having mini pancreatitis attacks, which was obviously destroying my pancreas without me knowing. Now, pancreatitis is inflammation of your pancreas, which is made worse through fatty food and food and things like that, and like high carbs and high sugar. So when I was getting those small attacks and I was just too ill to eat, it was sort of reducing the inflammation and, stopping it from becoming sort of a full-blown attack. But over time, it was still damaging it. So I was in hospital. They kept asking me, when was the last time you had a drink? How often do you drink? And I was like, I don't drink alcohol. I haven't drank alcohol for many years. I might have the odd whiskey at like Christmas or something. Like, I'm not a drinker. So they did blood tests, and it turns out it was my triglycerides. Now, don't worry if you don't know what they are. Neither did I. Effectively, it's fat in your blood. A bit like cholesterol, but worse. Now, triglyceride levels are supposed to be 1.7 or under. Anything sort of 2.4 and above is high. Anything around 11 is really bad, and you can have a pancreatitis attack. Guess where I was? You're probably wrong with your guess. The test I had done caps out at 50, and I was 50. Yes, getting top marks, that's me. Couldn't have done that in school, could I? So if we to get a level of 50, there's something wrong genetically. No ordinary person can get to that level. It is near on impossible. So there's something genetic wrong. Now, from this huge pancreatitis attack, I then found out obviously I had diabetes. I've got a specific type called type 3C, also known as brittle, and that's because it's fucking impossible to predict. And that's because type 1, obviously, you don't produce the insulin. Type 2, you don't produce enough insulin, or it's not well done, or whatever. Type 3, you don't produce enough insulin, or any at all if you've lost your pancreas completely. But you also don't produce other things like glucogen, and your body doesn't know how to regulate it. It just messes it up even more. But let's go back to the fat in the blood, because that's probably my biggest issue. So I have a condition I've now come to find out a year and 10 months later. It's all coming together nicely. Nicely is not the word, but I have familial chylomicronemia. Again, if you don't know what it is, don't worry, neither did I. It is a genetic condition passed down. It's from a dodgy gene. My body doesn't break down fat. Usually kicks in at birth, or it kicks in your late 20s. I started to get quite poorly around 28, 29, and then for a few years we kept getting poorly, which we now obviously know makes sense why I had such fatty blood. My body isn't breaking it down. And with that, I've got obviously still a lot of fat in my blood. I'm on the strongest dose of fenofibrate. I'm on atorvastatins. I'm on many tablets, and I'm still above where I should be. The lowest I got was 4.8, which is still in the high category, and my last test was 11.3 or something like that. Obviously I'm on the highest doses. I do sort of between 15 and 25,000 steps every day. I have an incredibly restricted diet, somewhere between 10 grams and 15 grams of fat per day, on top of also having to sort of cut back on carbs and sugars and things for diabetes. And from that time when my levels were above 50, it has ruined the valves in my veins and my arteries and my legs. So now I get blood pooling, pain in my legs. Started off maybe 8 months ago. You know, after about an hour of walking, I'd get really bad pain, and now it's got to the point where it's about I timed it the other day, it's about 2 minutes and 45 seconds before the pain starts to arise, and then the blood starts to pool, which is obviously not ideal when steps is a big part of what I do to stay out of hospital. You'd be surprised at what just 10,000 steps a day can do for your blood sugar, for the cholesterol and the triglycerides. It's honestly amazing what it can do. But now, just sitting up, the pain is unbearable. So I have a bunch of appointments. I've been referred to vascular, I've been referred to cardiology because my blood pressure, one of my blood pressures was 212 over 168, which is obviously horrendous. And as a general rule, I'm in hypertension too, and it's just tiring. All of it's tiring. When I go from sitting to standing, my heart rate, well, my pulse jumps from, I have a resting heart rate of around 44, and it goes from 44 to 110, and then it stays at 110. Everything's like wobbly and sort of moving around me like this. Recently found out my sister's got POTS. She's been diagnosed with it, and obviously the staple of that is your pulse jumping from whatever your baseline is up by 30 and then staying above that for 10 minutes minimum. I've done the test, I'm in the middle of getting diagnosed myself, but all of these little things just add to it and make it, just makes it harder. And it just makes it so tiring trying to deal with all these different illnesses. And if you don't have chronic illnesses or things like that, I get it, I didn't understand before either. But genuinely, just having chronic pancreatitis in itself is horrendous. Never mind having diabetes and chronic venous insufficiency and POTS and the genetic condition where it's tiring. The best way I can describe it is, back in the day when I didn't have any of these problems and I was sound, the best day I have now is a day back then where I would have phoned in sick. That's the best way I can put it. My best day is an average person's sick day, which is hard to admit. I've just started to sort of come to the realization that I'm not going to have a normal life anymore. Like, I can't do it. All of my conditions are ones that get worse over time, and as you get older, I can feel it. Like, I've got completely fatty blood out. I'm like a heart failure, heart attack waiting to happen, and my valves are fucked, and my heart's working too hard, and all of these things sort of add together, don't they? That brings me on to what I said at the beginning of the video, where I can't have the consistency. Like, it's a full-time job just trying to figure out what I need to eat today, because of all my different conditions mean different things, and if I'm in a different stage of each condition, I can only have certain things in certain amounts. Like, if my pancreatitis is flaring up and I'm having an attack, I've got to cut back on the fat, but then I've also got to cut back on the carbs, and then if my diabetes is having a bad day, I've got to cut back on the sugar and the carbs, and then if I'm getting particularly dizzy and stuff while I'm standing up and walking, I've obviously got to cut back on the sodium. Just trying to manage all of these conditions it takes all day. I think one of the hardest things is that it never turns off, it never stops. I can't just have a day off. Like, I can't just wake up tomorrow and think, I'm just not going to do anything for it today. Because genuinely, one extra fatty meal could lead me to being in hospital with an acute pancreatitis attack. I have chronic pancreatitis. I don't want another acute pancreatitis attack, because that genuinely nearly ended my life. So you don't get a day off, and even when you do have a cheat day, it's like not a cheat day, you're still in with your limits. You're just pushing them a bit more. And I think with the way the world's going, where everyone's rushing and you need to be really consistent, and obviously you can't just you can't work but be off 4 days a week because you're ill. You know? Like, I could turn up to a job 9 in the morning, feeling pretty good, but by 9:15, I'm spewing up blood and shitting out fat. And that's not even including the pain with these conditions. I've broken many bones in my time, and the pain of breaking something is nowhere near the pain of what pancreatitis was. Genuinely, I've never felt pain like it. Now, the pain in my leg to my groin and the calf and my feet, it's starting to rival pancreatitis. And I'm quite lucky that mentally, I'm pretty fucking solid, I think. There must be something wrong with me. And going back to like the consistency, everything's like, just, you've got to be consistent. You've got to do this and do this and do this and work, and I just don't have it in me. I don't have it in me. I'm far too fatigued. I'm deficient in vitamins A, B, C, D, and K. I'm tired all the time. It's just too much, man. It's just too much. Which is why I don't care. I don't care about being consistent. There's a reason, I'm guessing the government put me into certain groups saying, you're fucked you, mate. I'm gonna attempt to get you into work. Because you couldn't. You know, you don't want to admit, I can't do something. But sometimes I think you just have to, don't you? It took 2 years of me saying, no, I'm going to get back to how my life was. Just give me time. And I've accepted it now. It was hard, but fuck it. But now it's about what am I going to do with my life? I know I'm never going to like particularly work again. I might be able to do some self-employed bits, and I think I'm going to stay registered self-employed, but obviously I just won't ever earn enough to pay tax, and I'll just obviously submit what I've earned, because that's fine, I can do that. I can work on the disability stuff that I get, I can attempt to, but I just know I'm never probably going to earn like a full-time living. And like I said, that's kind of hard to admit. But yeah, it's hard to admit, innit? Like, I'm never going to be a useful member of society. But I don't think that's true. I think I can be useful in other ways. I don't know how long I've got left on this earth, like everybody. But I know the chances are my time will be cut short, shorter than the average. So in the time that I have, I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to go on holidays. I'm going to have little trips away. I'm going to have days out. I'm going to just be happy with me and my partner. And that's all I want. And that's all I'm going to do. Because I know at some point, I'm going to get to a point where I'm too ill. I can't really walk. The pain's too much. Like, I know there'll be a time where I am too ill. And I'm going to take advantage of it before I get to that point. Because the amount that I've gone downhill over the past 12 months is rapid. Like, being hardly able to walk after 2 minutes of standing or sitting, it's crazy. But we will see. Hope you guys enjoy the channel. This is just me ranting and about society, man. It's just not built for chronic ill people, is it? Anyways, thanks for watching, and if you have any chronic illnesses, let me know below. And if you've got what I've got, let me know below. I only know one other person from a Facebook group, so there's only about 7,200 in the UK, 3,000 worldwide. So if you're one of them, let me know below. I'd love to have a chat. Anyways, have a great day. Peace.